What's going on, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here. Welcome back to Groovy Thursdays. We're at groove number 36. The song is Atlantic Cable. I'm calling this Atlantic Cable number 2 because I did Atlantic Cable number 1 way back in groove number 23 in our Groovy Thursdays hang. This comes from the part of the song that's 12 minutes and 24 seconds to be exact into the tune. It's this cool little fusion section we're doing in the song, instrumental section. The band is on fire. It's a lot of fun to play on the drums. Now, you might be wondering, where are you and why are you talking to us from this white room? Well, let me explain. We just finished a few big train shows here in the UK and one in Holland. Before this little mini tour, I just wasn't able to get the talking portion done for this Groovy Thursdays groove. So I had to wait till we got here, and I'm staying a few extra days in the UK to do some other work, and the people that I'm doing some other work for got me this funky Airbnb that I'm staying in right now. So I apologize if I sound like I'm in a just some sort of tiled room. There's some weird reverb in here. I didn't want to do this week's groove without any talking portion, so I hope you can put up with this. I had to close the window because I'm right on the street. It's really loud, buses are going by and stuff. It's crazy, but we're here anyway. I'm going to go through this groove. It's a lot of fun, so let's do it. Groove number 36, Atlantic Cable number 2. Let's go. Let me first take you through the main groove that's in 11/8. That's what it's all based around. And then what I did in the transcription, and I'll also leave this PDF in the description below here on this video, is that I wrote out the whole phrase, the whole length of the phrase, because not everything repeats and there's some odd bars that come in between things which are transitions, but it always goes back to the main groove. All right, there's a number of ways you can count this, of course, like all these odd time grooves are. It's in 11/8 at 280. You know, you gotta, this is the pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You don't want to count it that way. That's way too hard and way too many, numbers coming out of your mouth. What I like to do, and what I did with this groove, is that I just felt those rhythms. And you can actually count it in 4 and then have a quick 3/8 at the very end. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. That equals 11/8 notes, right? 4 quarter notes and 3/8 notes equals 11/8 notes. So it's way easier to count it like that. And then if you just, sing out that rhythm, it's even easier, I think, and I hope you will too. So I'm just gonna do it like that. Here's the pulse. And let me sing out that rhythm real quick for you. Here's the pulse. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-da, ba, ba-da, ba, 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 ba. That's way easier to feel it like that. Do go ga, do go ga, do go ga, do go Get that triplet thing at the end. Way easier than counting all 11/8 notes. Now, looking at the transcription here, since it's in 8 notes, it's in 11/8, you're going to see a lot of 16th notes written because it's going back and forth between those upbeats and those downbeats. So you're looking at a lot of 16th notes here. At the top of the transcription is the first bar, and it takes up the whole first bar. It's kind of spread apart so you can see it pretty clearly here. Let's talk through the kick drum pattern. The kick drum plays the first 2 16th notes, the 1 and the 1 and. Then there's 1 on the 2 and, that upbeat. There's kick drums on 5 and 5 and, on 6 and, that upbeat. You have a kick drum on 8, a kick drum on the downbeat on beat 9, and then 10 and. Also, it's good to remember that those kick drum accents follow that guitar riff that's playing throughout that whole thing. The kick drum's following that. Now, let's talk about these snare drum accents and where they lay in this 11/8 bar. And I also want to let you know that there's another way to count these and feel these. We'll get to those in just a second. But in this 11/8 bar, you have a snare drum accent right on beat 3, then on 4 and I put that there because it happens right before the double kick drum that happens on 5 and that accent really helps flow into that next beat of beat 5. And then right on 7, everything else is ghost notes. But really what they are filler. They're the in-between stuff that helps this groove flow forward. And they're really sort of random. You know, it's the hands going back and forth kind of thing. It's the in-between stuff. It's that stuff, it's the ear candy that happens between all of the accented notes. The accented notes are the most important part. Okay, let's clap out those snare drums real quick here. I'm gonna count all 11 notes. This is the hard way to do it. Here we go. Here's the pulse. I'll count 4 just to get us into it, and it's a little bit slower too. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, 10, 11. All right, way too much to count, right? It's too much of a mouthful. If you count it in 4, 4, 4, so the snare drums land on 2 and 4, the main snare drums, tag on the 3/8 at the end, it's so much easier. That middle snare drum accent lands on the last 16th note of beat 2. So check it out, it's way easier. I'll count a real slow pulse, but this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pa, 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 1, 2, 3, 1. Pa, 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 1, 2, 3, 1. 2 again, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. 2 again, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Take out that middle accented one that's on the 2 and just to kind of get rid of it for a second, and it's just 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. So much easier. Take hard grooves like this, anything you hear that's hard that you're trying to figure out, find the accents that are the anchors inside it, and it'll make life a lot easier. Last thing to talk about in this main groove is what's happening in your right hand, the lead hand. For me, I'm playing it on the stack cymbal. You could do this on hi-hat, you could do this on your china, you could do this on your ride cymbal. I do go to ride later on in the pattern. You could do it on the rim of your tom, doesn't matter. But wherever you're gonna play your lead hand, that's what's happening. But it's really just following your kick and your snare, okay? Your lead hand. So you have your lead hand playing on 1 and of the first beat. Then you have one on 2 with your snare drum. Then on 5 and with the next double kick drum hit. Then you have another lead hand hit with the snare drum that happens on beat 7. And then again with your kick drums on beat 9 and 10 and. So again, just following those accents. Okay, that's the main groove, that's the anchor of this whole thing. Now let me take you through the bars that are in the transcription so you can see what's going on here. You play that main groove 3 times around, then there's a transitional bar of 5/8. Then you play that main groove again 3 times. The next transitional bar is 6/8, just because. Then you play that main groove again 2 times, except this time I switched it to ride cymbal from the stack to the ride cymbal. Then there's another transitional bar that is 10/8, again, it's prog, right? We'll talk about all these transitional bars in just a second. Then we have 2 more bars of 11/8. This time though, I went down to the floor tom and I'm going back and forth between the floor tom and my kick drum with some accents on the china cymbal. Now let's quickly go through these transitional bars. Let's go back to the bar of 5/8. This is again following the guitar and the bass riff. I was thinking of this as 2 16th note triplets and then 2 8th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And what's really cool is when you go into the next bar of 11/8, you immediately follow it with those 2 16th notes. So this is a really cool rhythm. I'll clap a slow 8th note pulse, and we'll do that bar of 5/8 going into the downbeat of the next 11/8 bar. See if you can feel it with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and. You got that, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and. Simple. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and. And what makes that so much fun is that you have crashes with your kick drum on the accents, ghost notes in between, and then you immediately flow right back into the groove again. So I went crash, snare, snare, crash, snare, snare, crash, crash, back to the groove. And lately I've been keeping my stack right below the crash cymbal on my right, so I could go from the crash right back down to the stack. Nice flowing motion. Crash, snare, snare, crash, snare, snare, crash, crash, stack, stack. Just like that. The next transitional bar is simpler. It's in 6/8 and you just play all 16 notes. There's no breaks at all. The way I did it was 6 on the snare drum, 2 on the rack tom, and then 4 on the floor tom. So snare, 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 rack, rack, floor, 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 floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then right back into the groove. The next transition bar is in 10/8, but it's simple because there's not much going on in it. You just have to know where these hits are. So there's 2 16th notes right on beat 1. Then you have 2 16th notes right on beat 3. Then again, 2 16th notes right on beat 5. And then a big old fat crash right on beat 9. I'll clap out a slower 8th note pulse, and this is how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 N, 3 N, 5 N, 9. 1 N, 3 N, 5 N, 9. Ba-da, 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 bow, kush. Sticka, tugga, tugga, gush, gush. Then we have those 2 bars of 11/8 between the floor tom and the kick drum. You hit that crash right on beat 1, and then the kick drum naturally starts to happen on 2 and just flowed from there. I didn't really plan it like that, just the body kind of moved that way. From that point forward, you're playing the floor tom on the downbeats and the kick drum on the upbeats, okay? Floor kick, floor kick, floor kick, down, up, down, up, down, up. There's also some snare drum accents in there. There's a snare drum right on beat 3. You play that with your floor tom. Then there's another one on beat 7, again with your floor tom. Then I go to some crashes. There's a crash with the snare drum on beat 9. Then, starting on beat 1 of the second bar, there's a snare drum and a crash right on beat 1. Another snare on beat 5 with a crash. And another snare on beat 9 with a crash. The reason I put these snares and these crashes where I put them in these 2 bars of 11 is I'm still trying to follow that guitar riff. Bo-dum, bow, bo-dum, bow, 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 boom, snare, snare, dun, dun, bo-dum, that kind of thing. And then to round out this whole thing, to get into the slow ending, we actually go back to 4/4 time. Ah, can you feel the 4/4 time? No more 11s, no more odd anything, just nice 4/4 time. The rhythms in these 2 bars of 4/4 are also played with the guitar and the keyboard and the bass. Everybody plays the same thing, all in unison. So it starts with 1 E and on the snare drum, then 3 E and on the rack tom. Then on bar 2, I went to my second rack tom, and it's 1 E and a 2. Then you have an 8th note break. Then starting on 3 and, go to your floor tom, you play 3 E and a, 4 E and a, and then right on 1, that starts the slow section to the outro of the song. And there you go. I know this isn't the easiest groove. There's a lot going on here, but it's so much fun, and it reminds me of the fusion music I grew up listening to, you know. A little bit of Mahavishnu, a little bit of Chick Corea Electric Band. I mean, you know, it's got those elements, and it's just so much fun to play. Again, I'll reiterate, you don't have to count the 11/8. You can count it simply in 4/4 with 3/8 notes on the end. Simplify hard grooves, okay? It'll make it easier to play and more fun to internalize, and then you can kind of get loose when you're playing something like this. The PDF of the transcription will be in the description of this video below. Download it, check it out. Maybe that'll make it easier for you to play and learn. If you're into it, I hope you are. And okay, if you like what's going on here at Groovy Thursdays, I ask that you like this video, share with all your friends, subscribe to the channel, bring on the comments and suggestions for future grooves. Come back next week for groove number 37. We'll see you then, everybody. Greetings from the UK. Cheers.